Hi, team. Welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. This week, we're going to talk about the return of the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife event. We'll also cover the latest SWTOR news and the fun stuff going on in our guild, Alea Iacta Est. As usual, we have an astromech standing by to soon become your broadcast beacon. Hi, EPC92. How are you doing? Really? Last time you were on Nar Shaddaa, you did what with a what droid? Hey, buddy. What happens on Nar Shaddaa stays on Nar Shaddaa. Hi, Seema. How's it going and what have you been up to?
He sounded so disappointed when you told that because he wanted to tell you his story.
No, dude, you got to hear this. No, thank you.
Gosh, things are going really well. The weather is so beautiful here in Maine right now. It's that time of year, that 5 minutes of year when it's like sunny and breezy and everything's perfect. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it sounds like
And
Chicago
we
weather.
relish it because it doesn't last long. Because we have hot summers, hot humid summers, so that's coming.
Yep.
But yeah, for my weekend SWTOR, I guess I'll start with ops as I am wont to do. And we had a good week. We continue to have guest tanks and other guests to fill out our ranks, which is going really well. So we did on Thursday Ravagers and Hard Mode Sparky, and then on our second day, Sunday, we did Temple of Sacrifice and Hard Mode Malifar, and then we also did a Group Finder TFB for basically for lots of Ultimate Comms. So that was a big night for Ultimate Comms Sunday. But it was fun. We had one or two in the group that had never actually done that last fight in TFB, so that's always cool. And then our guest tank on Sunday was Fisk, and Max was tanking, which is always fun for me. And on our first night, Brew, which is our regular tank, was tanking, and Max was tanking then too. So, go Max!
No,
Max the tank.
It was Brew both nights.
What?
Fisk was last week. I think Fisk subbed in for us last week. Fisk was in the chat room with us on Sunday night though, and giving me pointers on what to do with single tanking on TFB. It was
single tanking. That's what we did in TFB,
right? Because Brew left early, and then we just had a DPS with a taunt just to help out, just so we didn't. Although I don't even.
It was fun.
Needed that. Yeah, that was pretty fun.
And then on Mandatory Fun Night, we did more Gree stuff, much more Greeness. When I wrote that down, it made me think of Chuck and Brian and their PvP-ness, but this was Greeness. And we did it on pub side and imp side, which is cool.
Yes.
We did the Xeno Analyst fight on both sides. I did not get a chance this week to play with my new baby bounty hunter. Bouncing baby bounty hunter. But you know how it is, we got all summer to accomplish it, so, I can put it off if I want to, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We do have nearly infinite time,
Yes,
but then it'll be back, then it'll be down to like the last weekend, and you'll be like, oh crap, there's
I'll be staying up all night. Can't lose the 12
three characters that I want to level up from 1 to 60 in the next 36 hours.
And I found a fun thing this week, which actually I got to this place via SWTORnetwork.com, which is like an aggregate site that I check every once in a while, and it's a really good resource if you want to check it out, where he tries to bring together all the podcasts, all the blogs. If you want to see what's been happening on SWTOR Dev Tracker, he has usually the highlights of that. So it's a good sort of SWTOR in a snapshot place to go, and then you can deep dive into anything if you want to, which is what I did with this site, which is called Power Dress Gaming. And I thought it was going to be different than it was. I guess I was thinking costume designer, of which there might be stuff on the site, but the page that I went to was really fun because it was a list of a bunch of voice actors for the NPCs that we all know and love in SWTOR, and then links to their basically their IMDb pages if they have one. And so it was kind of fun to see, you know, Eric Jorgen and then a picture of Timothy Omenson in in his Gallivant garb and persona, which is his latest TV show.
Yeah.
But the funny thing to me was Mako, the actress that voiced Mako, looks to me just like Mako. I mean, different hair, but her eyes and everything. I'm like, wow, she could be Mako.
Really? I gotta go see that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think also that reminds me, I saw on Twitter there. I think there was an AMA and Ask Me Anything for the woman who does the voice acting for the female bounty hunter. That might be interesting to go read through too, in that same vein.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wait, there was Mako. Mako just showed up on my screen. Hello, Mako. What you doing? So yeah, I will definitely go check that out. That sounded really interesting.
And that was pretty much my week. How about you, Max?
Let's see. So yes, Mandatory Fun Night was awesome. Guri, Xeno, 16 on both Republic and Imperial. That was pretty cool. We had tons of people on that night. We did all our op stuff. So I did end up tanking quite a bit and getting through tanking all of Temple of Sacrifice, including story mode, and then back around and doing hard mode on Malafar and doing uh, that. I'm getting more comfortable with that power tech and actually being able to tank. So I was becoming happy with that. We'll see if I do more tanking in the future. That tank is now geared up enough, though. I think that we can use it as a sub when we need to, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
not as
think
terrible.
it's gone awesome all the times that you've tanked. So,
And then
yeah.
just for fun, which is not really a feat by any means, but solo tanking uh, in the group finder for Terra from Beyond was pretty fun. We went through that quick. We went through that in like 25 minutes or so. Cranked through there. Everything was just dying fast, and it was still a lot of fun. And I think I counted 26 ultimate comms because it was like 16 for
Yeah.
the group finder and another 10 for the weekly on that thing. That was
Yeah, something like
that's
that.
a good chunk. That is a
Yeah.
good chunk of ultimate comms. So that was fun. I did do some leveling on my commando. I took him from the 20s to the 40s on my character, and I probably could have gone a little faster. I spacebarred through a bunch of stuff, but I did keep stopping, and it's been a while since I did the Trooper story. The Trooper was the first story that I completed all the way to 50 at the time, and I haven't gone back to the Trooper story since then. And it was fun just checking back in on some of those stories, remembering what happened, listening to some of the dialogue, seeing what the dialogue choices were. So although I could have gone faster, I did keep stopping and get watching a bunch of those cutscenes. I found myself getting sucked into that, which is what it's for. So that worked out really well. And I did follow your advice, Seema, and a couple other people had talked about. I did do. Uh, I I only ended up bothering to check out upgrading gear with comms about once every 10 levels, and I had done it much more often than that in the past. And it's perfectly fine to go once every 10 levels.
Yeah.
I basically
Cool.
let it ride. I think I ended up like 12 levels one of the times. I let it ride until I noticed my health going down, a few fights in a row. I'm like, oh, what's this? Oh, I'm like 12 levels out of date. So up, updated it.
Or till it gets annoyingly too long to kill things.
Right, right, exactly. But it worked out. It worked out well. And I think someone else was asking guild chat, and I'm stuck on that 10 levels is all you need at this point. Someone else told me at one point they had a Treek set of gear basically once every 10 levels, like 10, 20, 30, 40 for
Yeah.
for
I've heard
just
that
just
before too, which I think is awesome, but that's just way more organized than I
yeah,
am.
right. And there's not enough character slots to make use of it. So, but that's interesting. That's a good way to do it. And you could just keep some. Well, then you end up with just some extra comms extra basic comms, which I'm always capped on anyway at 1,000. So it's not like I'm gonna save them until I get to 60.
Yeah,
Might as well
you're
spend
trying.
them,
Like I have almost
throw them
on all
away.
my characters those three basic comm things that have 100 each. Those little chevron things in the bank that are 99 basic comms each.
Oh yeah, those things. Yeah, I never opened
Yes.
those either. Yeah, so but it's yeah, it's uh, just use them up, do it once every 10 levels, buy the whole set for you and for your companion of choice, and it works out fine. And I still did a little bit of PvP after the stream on Sunday again. I didn't do a lot. Some of the hardcore PvP guilds were were out in force, and I won. I think I only played like two, and I finished the weekly. I didn't finish my daily, but I was getting a little bit of a headache, and with the hardcore PvPers, you get a little bit of a headache. So 'cause
There's headaches and then there's headaches.
it's very
And
fast
you had
paced with a
both.
lot of stuns, and you got to like a lot. It's not you can't just like sit back and rain down damage.
It
So,
sucks when the other people are actually good at it.
so that was my week. Why don't we talk a little bit about the news?
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
News this week. The big news that we're going to have a whole segment on this week is that the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife event is making a return. I did not expect it to return, but we found out not too long ago, only a couple weeks ago, that it would be back, and it'll be back for a good chunk of the summer, from June 9th to August 25th. And all they said is that it will be back, and we'll talk about it more in the segment when we talk about whether we think there are going to be any changes to it or not. And I'm thinking there won't be, but that's the news so far. They haven't said anything besides it's going to be back, and here's the dates, and it's starting this week. So fun.
Yeah, and to go along with that, the this week when 3.2.1 drops, it's supposed to have the fix in it for all the people who lost their Nar Shaddaa Nightlife achievements.
That is useful. I know people were looking for those to come back as well. I think we also have some notes this week on a patch going in on Wednesday. At the same time, they'll be turning
Yep.
on the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife event. They will be doing patch 3.2.1, and you had some notes on that, Seema, didn't you, that you pulled out? There's
Yeah,
a bunch of
basically
stuff,
from
but yeah.
Tate had published some early release version of the patch notes a few days ago, which are probably pretty close to what's going to happen eventually. But the patch will be on Wednesday morning and Tuesday morning. We already mentioned the fix for Nar Shaddaa Nightlife. There's some fixes in there for preferred players. So, like, for instance, emergency fleet class and quick travel cooldowns for preferred players will be fixed so that they now match the subscriber cooldowns, which was always the intention. So I guess they hadn't been before, which is not cool, but that'll be fixed. Once again, preferred accounts can unlock a third crew skill via the cartel market, and they can also unlock up to 6 quick slot bars via the cartel market. So I guess that stuff got unimplemented for a while, but it's being fixed now, so that's good.
That's nice.
I noticed this note that the consoles in the Torque encounter, which is the third boss in Ravagers, the Wookiee boss, they have a note here that that the consoles are no longer valid targets for AoE healing abilities, such as Roaming Mend and Kolto Cloud. I didn't even know they were. I feel like I've missed an opportunity there. But sort of the premise of that fight is he breaks the consoles, and then you send a repair droid out to fix them. And basically, I guess up until this fix, you could also heal them yourself.
Well, we haven't
Oh
been doing
well.
that fight on hard mode, only on story mode. And on story mode,
Yeah.
it's pretty easy for us. So we
Yeah,
don't
we
even
just
we don't even bring out the repair droids or anything. We just we just
sweep the knee.
yes, what we call sweep the leg. Sweep the leg.
I don't know what that means or where it comes from. I
You
just
don't know
know.
where that comes from? Karate Kid. You
Is
know
that
where
from
that comes.
Karate
Yeah,
Kid?
that's from Karate Kid. You know where that comes
Well,
from.
if it's from
Sweep the
that,
leg,
then
Johnny.
we should be. Don't sweep the
the
knee.
leg.
That's not cool. We always say it like it's so cool. But yeah. Also, they're fixing the animation for the fire in that fight, which are the floor vents. The animation was going off a little bit before the effect ended, so people were getting burnt up.
Yes.
And I guess they said they're also making an adjustment so they're easier to differentiate the floor vents from the floor itself. I'm kind of anxious, or not anxious, but curious to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, maybe some sort of telegraph thing on it or something is what I'm expecting.
A telegraph. Yeah, like a rune, like a circle kind of thing, yeah, I guess. And then they also made a note that they reduced the damage done during the Olak the Shadow encounter in all modes. And this is the guy in Scum and Villainy, where you go in the room and you're upstairs and you look down on the floor and there's all these droids on the floor and you have to use the coins to bring the droids up. And then you go down and kill all his friends and cohorts and customers, and then you kill him. So I don't know where this is coming from, because I haven't sensed that there's a huge disturbance amongst the community about the difficulty of Olak the Shadow. But
right, exactly. Neither
if
have
that's
I.
something that's been a thorn in your side, I guess it's going to be fixed this week.
Yeah, so there you go. If you're still level, I guess that was level 55, right? That was,
yeah.
So if you're still level 55,
seems so random, but yeah.
You know, and you're trying to get through that at level, then that'll help you out a little bit. But at level 60, it's not really a problem, I don't think, even on Nightmare.
And during 12X, who's really going to be doing that at level anyway?
Right. You're at level 55 for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So. And they also put a number of fixes into decorations, speeders, and other items, things like animations that were slightly wonky or things that were clipping. There's like one or two things that were clipping that they fixed. So yes, I assume that all your cloaks and capes will still fall through the bottom of your speeder. And then
that's by
character
design.
transfers are going to be turned back on. Don't know why they were turned off.
I don't know. I don't either. But now I want to look into it, because someone was mentioning earlier.
I mean, I know there was some speculation.
Right.
Like, then it made me think that maybe they're getting closer to their better than, what was the expression? Better than cross-server queues.
Yeah, better than
solution and character transfers. They had to change them so that, your name could be in the database as, like mine would be Seema at Jedi Covenant, just like they did for guilds. Instead of just Seema, so that when they did whatever the solution is, we would be able to keep our names.
That sounds a little optimistic.
Highly speculative and irresponsible. Yeah.
What I heard tonight was that, and I didn't get it confirmed, but something about the transfers ending up as copies instead of an actual transfer.
Oh, so they had to shut it down and fix it?
Yeah, which you could see that causing big problems, because you could
yeah.
You could like copy over billions and millions of credits.
I totally want that, though.
Basically duplicate credits. Well, that's what we do on the PTS, right? You put all your credits on one character, copy that character to the PTS, and then copy it again, copy it again, and you have 1 billion credits.
Yeah.
And finally in the news, Eric Musco posted a post about continued... he had a couple posts. One he posted a post about wind trading. So if you're interested in the continuing action that they're taking around wind trading and some of the results that they're seeing, that was somewhat interesting. And some continued discussion around credit sellers. They took down the big ring, but you still see credit spam on the fleet, and we even had whispers this week from credit sellers, and he tried to explain that a little bit. It's a very complex process. There's lots of players. They took down one particular big ring, but that didn't mean that they had shut down everything. They weren't trying to imply that.
And it's like a game of whack-a-mole, right? It's sort of like if you cut them off from getting in this way, then they figure out how to get in over here, and then you got to shut that down, and then they figure out how to get in over this way, and you just got to keep tightening the noose.
Yes, tighten that noose. that's that's how I like to think of my MMOs. It's just a big noose. In guild news this week, how's the guild ship looking, Seema, on the Republic side?
It's still gone.
It's still
still
missing.
invisible. Yes, it is still missing.
Mm.
Uh,
I don't do it often, but I did tweet at BioWare that, hey, our guild ship is still missing, and the biggest downside associated with that is you can't do conquest. We weren't doing a lot of conquest, but you can't do conquest. It's a little terrible.
Right.
a little terrible.
Ops teams use the guild ships to get to Rishi. I mean, it's not like there aren't 6 other ways to get to Rishi, but
Yeah,
guild ship.
there must be 50 ways to leave your guild ship.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Get on the space bus, Gus. In Ops team news, the SUP team, which is our Wednesday night team that Arvashet, who's in the chat room right now, runs, is still cruising through content and does have an opening at this point. One of the, I think they're looking for a tank would be ideal, because one of their existing tanks wants to switch off and try DPS for a little while, so they'd like to get another longer term tank in that spot to fill it in. But if you want to sub in on that team, a lot of people have a lot of different characters and can sub and switch different roles for now, so definitely check that thread out. The SOL, the Soldiers of Light Ops team on Monday nights on the Republic side, they continue to run, and they have a member taking a bit of a break. Major Debacle, our very own Crazy Glass guy on Twitter, he needs a little bit of a break because he's got some really cool stuff that has to do with real life and crazy glass going on.
Oh, nice.
That sounds pretty cool. So he's taking a little bit of a break. He's an awesome artist, so I hope that turns out really well for him. And as a result, they could use pretty much any class Sten says they could make use of. So if you want to get in there, including DPS, DPS tank or heals, they could use you on Monday nights. And our Lords of Light Imperial Ops team is still continuing to stream on Thursdays and Sunday nights. We've got a couple of people that are just out on vacation here and there, like Seema is going to be out this week, having a little fun. We will be filling in. We had Zen, who's my son, filling in for us this week. That's pretty fun. He's back from college.
Yeah, that was fun.
I just remembered, and I'll post in the thread too. He's healed for us quite a bit in the past, so he could fill in as a healer this week.
Used to be a regular member.
Yep. So we've got that going for us. And also, shout out to the chat room. We've got a ton of people in the chat room tonight. That is awesome. Thanks everyone for hanging out in there. We'll do a little bit of just a tiny drawing at the end, and see what we can do. So I wanted to say hi to One PC Gamer and Arvashet and Dastari and Higister, Koraba, Faden, Rev Bunny. I like that name. Seema T Witch. I like that name. Shadowcon, Sukabiru, Telenroid. We had Marcus Gig, Old Diggit. Let's see, Moat58, Nitzbama, and Trollboy89, and Dravix, and Dastari. Oh, I already said Dastari. I keep capturing the list as we go through the podcast, so I don't miss anybody. But I'm not like merging it each time.
Yeah, right.
So welcome to the chat room, and thanks for chiming in there. It helps make the show pretty interesting. But with that, I think we can talk about our segment for the week, which is the return of Nar Shaddaa Nightlife. Oh, and I lost my token. Wait, here, let me give it one more shot. Yay! I got a golden ticket.
What did
So,
you win?
the return of Nar Shaddaa Nightlife. I don't think there's going to be any changes. So we're going to talk about what we did last time, what by the end, what we tips we learned and that kind of thing, as if there will be no changes. As this drops tomorrow, we could find out that there were some changes being added in. I was combing all of the various feeds and data sources, including the data miners, and nobody's coming up with anything that they think is different. So we could get surprised, but I think it's going to be pretty much the same, which is fine. There was not everybody got through it. Everybody wanted a chance to get a couple more golden certificates and get some more of that gear, or another copy of the gear potentially, or a couple extra of those weapons, or pull that lever one more time and try to get a Rancor. So
Well, I was one of the people saying that I wished that we would have something different instead of the Rancor, but I did have mixed feelings because I would like to continue on trying to get it.
yeah, I don't have a Rancor. I didn't get a Rancor. I don't have a Rancor. I wouldn't mind getting a Rancor. I have one of these other big beast things. What is this one called? It's the Marshwood Varanticus, which is pretty cool, and it's as big as a Rancor, but it's not the Rancor. That's the very iconic Star Wars beast. So it would be cool to have one of those to ride around. And you did not get one last time.
No,
About how many credits do you think you spent last time on the slot machines trying to get one?
maybe 300K.
What? 300K?
I don't have a lot of patience for
Okay.
things like farming and doing the same thing for a long time.
I think I was up to three and a half million before I stopped by the end of the event.
Are you watching
last time.
Netflix or something?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I watched multiple movies and end to end.
That's funny.
And I heard rumors of people being up to almost 10 million without getting a Rancor. But then on the flip side, because this is how RNG works, there were people that spent 10K and got a Rancor. So it's RNG. It's just pull that lever. I think it's 0.07% chance on a pull to get a Rancor. So there's...
Well, I feel like if I spent a lot more credits trying to win it, that when I actually did win it, I wouldn't feel like I won it. I would feel like I bought it.
But if it was that...
Sort of like...
Yeah.
If I wouldn't pay that much for it on the GTN, I guess is kind of my rule of thumb.
Well, yeah. Right. So 4 million was about my mental limit for what I would pay for a really fancy mount on the GTN.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's where I was sort of setting my bar. I think Chill from the Utini cast was doing it and spent 4 million or something like that, and finally did end up getting one not long before the event was ending, and then was either just doing something else or getting some more, and then got another one like 100K later. So you could see if you get two, and then you would feel like you're a winner.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I did do one thing though, which is that I bought tokens and I didn't play them all because I got distracted towards the end and I went and did something else and then I forgot about it. So that'll be an inventory slot provided I can find them,
Yeah.
that I can free up because I've got like 30 of those smuggler tokens
You'll win a bank slot.
pulling their heels somewhere.
Good job. Yeah. So many of those rewards. I like that there's the collections now, and you can sort of delete some stuff at least. So many rewards are the reward is -1 bank slot to me.
Yes, that's a big reward.
So
A bank slot or a quest slot?
So the basics of how this works, if you didn't do it last time, is over on Nar Shaddaa, there's a casino for the Republic and a casino for the Empire. They're two separate casinos. They fill up with a bunch of slot machines, and then there's a vendor in the back that sells tokens. He sells green tokens and blue tokens. The green ones cost 1,000 credits, and the blue tokens cost 50,000 credits. We'll talk about why you should never buy blue tokens from the vendor a little bit later. There are also fleet breadcrumb quests on the fleet. Fleet quests on the fleet. It's very they're secretly named. No, so they're
That's a
breadcrumb
good
quests.
spot for a fleet quest to be.
There's fun cutscenes associated with those breadcrumb quests on the fleet, with like dancing Twi'leks and sleazy Nar Shaddaa casino type advertisements to get you to come to the casino. You also, with that breadcrumb quest, get 5 of the green tokens along with that quest to go spend at the casino, because that's how they get you. So you could at least...
The first one's always free.
Yeah, you could log in with each one of your characters, get that breadcrumb quest, play with your 5 free tokens, and see if you win a Rancor that way. You can also then purchase those, as we said, the green ones and the blue ones. You have to have some sort of tokens, either green ones or the blue ones, in your inventory when you go and use the appropriate machines. There's one set of machines for the green tokens and a separate set of machines for the blue tokens, the Kingpin machines. And you can't use the Kingpin machines without a blue token. You can't use the regular machines without the green token. Then you go walk up to the slot machine. After you have those tokens in your inventory, you click on the slot machine and you get a little animation, and you get you get this sound. And that's the sound if you lose. And then you get that winning sound. That's when you get the jackpot. And then there's an intermediate sound if you win, but it's not the jackpot. So you can win. So out of what actually happens? Someone data mined what's happening each time you roll the dice on one of the blue machines in particular. It's a roll between 1 and 10,000. A random number between 1 and 10,000 gets generated. You have 2,285 chances out of 10,000 to lose, 2,283 chances to lose the second way. So it's oops, I read that wrong. I don't know why he wrote it this way, but does that even add up to 10,000? 5,000, 6, 7, yeah, it does. So you basically have 50% chance, 5,000 out of 10,000 to get a token back. So you can get your token back basically. You have a 2 in 10,000 chance of the machine exploding, and you get an achievement for that. You have a 7 in 10,000 chance of getting the Rancor, and you have a 23 in 10,000 chance of getting the Vectron. I think it's a Vectron Magnus that you win, and the Vectron Opus that you buy with certificates, 2 different colored of the Vectron mounts. And all the rest of the chances, basically the other 4,600-ish, is a loss. So what you're trying to get when you get that 400 in 10,000, did I even say that one? That's a golden certificate. Those are the currency that you're getting to go to the vendor and buy the legacy bound armor, the legacy bound weapons, which are sort of like a 1930s gangster style weapon skins, which look pretty cool. The blaster rifle in particular looks like a Tommy gun. I think that looks really good for Treek to hold.
And Max and I were both saying before the show that we should get our gear out that we bought last year at this event, but that neither one of us actually knows where it is.
Yeah, I have no idea where
I have this mental image of somebody's cargo bay somewhere with this line of Kingpin gear.
Yeah.
But
yeah, -7 bank slots. We could also call that.
Yeah,
somewhere.
right.
But yeah, I had a full set of everything except the Rancor. So, including the achievement for the exploding machine. But
I got the exploding machine too.
So, it is somewhat compelling if you want to try to get the rewards, and if you're trying to get that Rancor, you could just you do sort of get sucked in a little bit to keep clicking and clicking and clicking. I did click quite a bit, as I said, about 3.5 million or whatever I ended up as, and did not get the Rancor.
Intermittent reward is one of the strongest motivators.
in the Skinner box in which we force ourselves to live?
Yes.
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 This is true. So what are your tips for what are your pros and cons tips and tricks for the casino SEMA?
Well, I guess what I did was I took a character in there, and I had sort of in mind how much money to spend. Well, first I went over to the PTS and I bought all blue chips, which that uses up all your money right away, and your odds are a lot worse if you do that way, which I guess we're going to explain. But yeah, like I would buy a stack at a time and just play those. And by the time I got to the end of my stack, I was bored with this activity and wanted to go do something else.
Yeah.
So that system may not work for you if you're enticed further, like many people are. But that's how I did it.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely always buy the green tokens off the vendor. I would go and buy a stack of 99 green tokens, or so, I think I'd buy 100 just so it was a round number. So a stack of 99 and one extra. So then that's how I was keeping track of how much I was spending. And then you go to the green machines, and I would always play 2 machines. You could actually play 3 at the same time, but you're not getting the full global cooldown off the second one, because you can click once per global cooldown, but it takes longer than a global cooldown for the machine to actually do its little animation and tell you if you won or not. So that's why you can click on one, and the next global cooldown you can click on the next one, and the next global cooldown you can click on the third one, but by then the first one's just about paying off. So I only played 2. And then the odds of getting blue tokens out of the green token machines, you'll pay back and get out a much cheaper. You'll spend less than 50K per blue token in green tokens to win blue tokens off the green token machines.
Right.
So yes. So just use green tokens until you get. I usually wait until I got like a stack of 10 or so blue tokens, and then I took the blue tokens over. The other thing that you get off the green token machines is a buff called Feeling Lucky, which increases your odds slightly on all the rewards. So with that, I never played the blue machines without getting the Feeling Lucky buff off the green token machines first as well. So you want to do that.
Right. I had forgotten about that. If I ran out of my little supply of green tokens and I hadn't got the buff yet, but I had some blue tokens, I would go and buy like 10 more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And try to proc the buff.
Yeah, so I'd certainly recommend that. Make sure you get that buff before you're bothering to waste your expensive blue tokens. And then click away. As I said, I typically did 2 machines, but you could try to do 3. If the casino gets busy and there's a lot of people around, it might be hard to do multiple machines. But especially on the green ones, it was always easy because there's lots of the green machines. I usually stood in between, like on the side of them, and just clicked back and forth between 2 machines. And then I put on Netflix and watched some movies. Click, 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 click. Kept going.
We could have like a movie club for the summer while this is on.
I think I'm gonna stream it.
Everybody watch the same movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
When they're doing their casino time, and then we could have a little discussion group afterwards.
Yeah. 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 But for anybody that doesn't have Netflix or gets bored, maybe I'll just stream me clicking on one machine over and over for like 3 hours.
Right.
That'll be a big draw, I think. Twitch will blow up.
Well, when
It'll go crazy.
Yeah, when you did Minesweeper, that was gripping.
On April 1st, when I switched over to full-time Minesweeper all day, it was compelling. I tell you.
Compelling content.
Yes.
I agree.
And then when you get a Rancor, you need to yell out in general and in guild chat, hey, I got a Rancor and I only spent 10K. And then you need to get on your Rancor. You need to ride around all the other people that are still in the casino over and over and over.
Right. Yeah, I believe that is required, that you have to mount up in the casino and ride around people.
Apparently.
That are still trying to get it.
By demonstration of all the people that did win their Rancors, that is the required method of accepting your award. I don't know, maybe if it's just scripted event and it just happens to you, but it seemed to happen every single time. So there you go. If you do get the Rancor or you get the other mounts, they are legacy bound, as is all the gear that you buy off the vendor. When you use it, though, when you use the Rancor on whatever character you end up putting it on, it's stuck to that character in that character's vehicle list. It's not in your collections. You do not get to unlock it on the rest of your characters. So this time around, you may want it on another character. So you're going to go pull some slot machine levers.
Yeah, that's right. You may need one on pub side and imp side.
Yep. But it's I'm going to try to get one, I think. At least.
Oh, I'm definitely going to try and get one.
I may my limit on credits may be lower this time, or my patience. Credits or no, I think my patience for click might be less this time around. We'll see. And
well, I just have left. I have fewer credits than I did last time because I haven't been money making. I've just been money spending for the last few months.
And then you do get the achievements along the way too. So there's a set of achievements, including the one for blowing up the machine, the one for getting a golden certificate, the one for pulling the slot machine so many times. So if you're getting all those achievements, you can be watching those along the way as well. And that's what some people had missing. One of the patches it was a while ago, wasn't it? That took the achievements away, messed up the achievements.
Yeah.
But they finally fixed that because now they matter again for people to try to finish them. So you can get those achievements. And I guess to wrap it up, what's your speculation on whether there will be anything different this time around or not, Seema?
Well, I find the I find the argument that data miners haven't found anything pretty compelling. If I didn't know about that, I would feel pretty strongly that they would put something new in it, because not necessarily on the vendor, like somebody in Guild said, not on the vendor, but some kind of new prizes. Because one of the things that BioWare does is they do surprise us right when we think that they're not going to do something, that they do it and 6 other things. So
those are some interesting expectations you got there. If anything, I would think that they would add a couple decorations to the vendor for golden certificates, because that's what they seem to have done. They did it to Gree.
That is a good point.
They did it. They seem to just. They did it to Gree. They did it to Rat Ghouls. They seem to throw that stuff in relatively quick.
Maybe both, like a couple decorations on the vendor and 1 or 2 that you could win.
And because it's a patch going in that wasn't necessarily the full data out of the patch might not necessarily have been on the PTS, the data miners just might not have had access to it. So there could be some minor changes. That is true. My expectation, keeping those expectations low, my expectation is that nothing will be different, and they knew people wanted to have it back. They're going to throw it back in. It's still cool stuff. The Kingpin weapons are still pretty cool. We still wanted another shot at a Rancor. There it is. It's there. We just came off Agree. We're still going to do bounty contracts where the summer's rolling with more stuff. We've got 12x XP rolling. I don't think they have to do, nobody's like dying for, some new thing and Narshada. I think it's just coming back at all. As the summer rolls is just something might be all we get.
It's just icing on the summer cake.
Yes, the delicious summer SWTOR cake. So, with that though, I think that's about it. So I'm going to be saving up my tokens, and EPC 9.2 is ready to roll the dice and see where this escape pod takes him. Maybe to Narshada, where what happens on Narshada stays on Narshada. But with that, I think we are ready to wrap up. So thanks for joining us on this live stream in our chat room, or on the usual download, or on YouTube. We'll be streaming again next Monday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords around 10:30 p.m. Central, typically. And please follow us at Max the Gray and at AIESEMA for more information about the podcast. And you can always find us on Jedi Covenant and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, guys.